After defeating Hephaistos' first phase, a cutscene will play, and the raid will have the remainder of the lockout to defeat the final boss of the raid tier. In this phase, Hephaistos delivers cleaving auto attacks that should be shared by both tanks. The first auto attack comes out about 3 seconds after pulling, so tanks have a grace period to position away from the raid as needed. After 3 autos, Hephaistos casts his first Aioniopyr, a high damage Raidwide that inflicts all players with a 10-second bleed. After 2 more autos, Hephaistos will cast Tyrant's Unholy Darkness, twin tank busters on the 2 highest in enmity targets. We typically have the main tank use their invuln on this buster in order to take the final auto attacks solo. After 2 more autos, Hephaistos will cast Natural Alignment, the first major mechanic of the fight. Natural Alignment will target either 2 DPS or 2 supports with the Natural Alignment debuff. While afflicted with this debuff, the player takes extremely high damage over time. Additionally, if a player with Natural Alignment dies or is hit by Natural Alignment mechanics, they will detonate and wipe the raid. Auto attacks stop coming out during this mechanic, so tools like Cardion can be given to one of the debuff players, and players should also try to make the most of their personal recovery tools. When Hephaistos casts Twist Nature, 2 gauges will appear over one of the NA players' heads. One gauge representing a shared stack with orange arrows, and the other representing a circle spread via a pink circle. At the end of the Twist Nature cast, one of these gauges will begin filling up, with one filling faster than the other. This indicates what order the mechanics must be resolved. While checking if it's stack or spread first, Hephaistos will cast Tyrant's Flare, baited circle AoEs that the entire raid should be stacked up for. As soon as the Tyrant's Flare cast is over, we move differently depending on if it is stack or spread first. In the event of stack first, we have the 2 Natural Alignment players move north, while the rest of the raid moves south to resolve the stack. In the event of spread first, we have the entire raid move out to fixed clock positions. After the first mechanic resolves, Hephaistos will begin casting Ashing Blaze, cleaving the west or east half of the arena, indicated by the side of his body that is glowing with flames. Position to dodge this cleave while also resolving the remaining Natural Alignment mechanic. After both stack and spread are resolved, we have the entire raid stack centered between the 2 front rows of the arena. Players should face west to identify the safe spot for the next mechanic. 3 clones will spawn at west, indicating they will cleave the rows they stand in front of. Either the front or second row will always be safe. 2 gauges have appeared over the second Natural Alignment player's head, one representing fire and the other ice. After identifying the safe row, we position in this row with the Natural Alignment center, the supports west, and the DPS east. The Natural Alignment role will only have 2 players while the other role has 4, so we designate the melees as adjusters for resolving the next part of this mechanic. After positioning in the safe row, we check if fire or ice is filling faster. These elements originate from the Natural Alignment player, and ice will target the 2 nearest non-Natural Alignment players with a circle AoE that should be shared by 3 players. Our flexes adjust as necessary to ensure we have 2 sets of 3 on either side of the Natural Alignments, with the 2 baiting players just over half a tile away from the Natural Alignments, with the remaining 2 soakers a full tile away. This positioning ensures one 3-stack won't accidentally bait both circles by being too far in. After the first element resolves, we quickly adjust to the other row, as new clones have spawned at east. If the second row was safe first, the front row will now be safe, and vice versa. While adjusting, the second gauge has been filling, in this case fire. Fire will target the 3 farthest players from the Natural Alignment player with pair stack AoEs. For this variation, we have 1 player a half tile away and 1 player a full tile away on the DPS and support sides. Our 2 flexing melee will also use this positioning, but north or south of the Natural Alignment players in the safe row. After resolving the final elements, Hephaistos will cast another Aioniopyr, and auto attacks resume. After 2 auto attacks and another Tyrant's Unholy Darkness, Hephaistos starts a long cast of High Concept. High Concept is a high damage Raidwide that starts an exhibition mechanic during which the boss will be untargetable. There are many ways to resolve this mechanic, but I prefer one that makes heavy use of waymarks to make it substantially easier. The first step of High Concept is to check your debuffs and move to your starting position. 2 players will have these DNA debuffs, with the yellow one showing it requires 2 players, and the blue showing it requires 3. These are shared stack AoEs, so we have the yellow 2 stack positioned northwest at the yellow 2 marker, while the blue 3 stack positions northwest at the blue 3 marker. 3 players will have a 9-second debuff, either a red alpha, a yellow beta, or an orange gamma. These players will blow up in a massive circle AoE when their debuff expires, so we have them spread. Red alpha will go northeast to the red A marker, yellow beta will go southeast to the yellow B marker, and orange gamma will go southwest to the... blue C marker. 3 other players will also have Alpha, Beta, and Gamma, but these have a 25-second duration. We will worry about that later, but for now these players will help to resolve the DNA stacks, with the Alpha sharing the stack at 2, while Beta and Gamma share the stack at 3. Hephaistos will cast Arcane Control while the first set of debuffs expires, causing 2 towers to appear in the center of the arena. These towers can be blue water towers, green wind towers, or purple lightning towers. Standing in these towers without the appropriate element will result in death. The 3 Defamation players have also received elemental icons above their head. These icons show which alchemical elements they are carrying. If you have purple lightning towers, you need 2 players with purple lightning to combine to soak the towers, and so on. We have the 2 players with the required element above their head meet at center, with one standing a few steps north and one a few steps south to telegraph which tower they intend to soak. After standing together for a few seconds, their concepts will combine to create the element they share in common, and they will move out to their towers. While combining, Hephaistos has started another cast of Ashing Blaze, so we have all of the raid positioned on the safe half of the arena while resolving towers. After the towers and Ashing Blaze resolve, we need to move to our second set of positions. The 2 players that soak the first towers will move to northwest. Note that these 2 players can combine and create an Enrage concept if they stand too close together. Players with concepts should always be mindful of their positioning, as creating unintended combinations typically leads to a wipe. The slow Alpha, Beta, and Gamma will spread to A, B, and C, as the fast ones did at the start. The unused element from before can return to their original explosion point or wait at center to avoid some damage. The players with the hard job here are the 2 DNA stacks from before, as they are flexing here. The yellow 2 stack will flex clockwise to A or B, while the blue 3 stack will flex counterclockwise to C or B. Where they flex depends on what color the first towers were. We need 2 players at each of Alpha, Beta, and Gamma, but whichever player has leftover elements from the first set of towers already has their marker covered. If the first towers were blue, flexes go to A and C. If the first towers were purple, flexes go to B and C. And finally, if the first towers were green, flexes go to A and B. Hephaistos once again casts Arcane Control while the second set of debuffs resolve. After the massive circle AoEs, another set of towers will appear, this time 4 from north to south. How we combine for these towers is very particular. Each set of elements from Alpha, Beta, and Gamma has a dominant element, indicated by the outline on red fire for Alpha, the yellow potion for Beta, and the brown leaf for Gamma. If 2 players with the same dominant element combine, they will create that concept rather than a color we need for towers. To make sure we never have this issue, we always have the slow explosion players that just went off combine between the 2 south towers. Meanwhile, the fast explosion players, as well as any stack players that had to flex for the second set of large circles, will combine between the 2 north towers as needed. These players take a step towards the tower they intend to soak while combining, to once again telegraph to their teammate which tower is theirs. While the elements combine, Hephaistos will cast one final Ashing Blaze, so the raid needs to move to the safe side of the arena while resolving the last of this mechanic. Upon becoming targetable again, Hephaistos will cast Deconceptualize to remove everyone's concepts from them. Players should be very careful not to collapse too soon and risk creating an Enrage concept. After Deconceptualize, Hephaistos will cast another Aioniopyr, followed by 3 auto attacks on the tanks. He will next cast Limitless Desolation, and we all move out to spread positions for the next mechanic, with the supports west and DPS east. At the end of the cast, 1 DPS and 1 support will be hit with a large circle AoE that inflicts fire resistance down. Immediately after these AoEs, a tower will spawn. There will always be 1 tower spawning at west and 1 spawning at east, and these towers will always be in the front 3 rows. If you are hit by the fire AoE, note the position of the tower that spawned immediately after, as this is the one you will be responsible for soaking. This process will repeat until all DPS and supports have been hit by fire and 8 towers have spawned. As soon as you are safely able to, reposition beside your tower on an intersection between tiles. As your fire vulnerability is about to fall off, you will bait a massive circle AoE, and this positioning will ensure you are never covering an entire tower. After dropping your bait, move into your tower to resolve the mechanic. After another Aioniopyr, there will be 2 auto attacks, followed by another Tyrant's Unholy Darkness, and 2 more auto attacks, before Hephaistos casts his second Natural Alignment. Natural Alignment 2 is almost exactly the same as the first, but with a few small twists. Inverse Magicks will give one or both of the Natural Alignment players the Inverse Magicks debuff. This debuff indicates that their gauges will fill in the opposite order of the mechanics. For instance, if Spread fills first, then it will be Stack first. The clones will return for this mechanic and leave us one safe row. So we have the two natural alignments moved to the west side of the arena, while the rest of us face west to check for the safe row. The natural alignment should spread loosely. If only one of them is reversed, we need to be able to check if we are doing the reversed set or not. After the twist nature cast, we position in the safe row. For spread, we have assigned positions in the row for every player, and we just leave the natural alignment player's spread positions empty. For stack, we simply stay stacked in the center. After the first mechanic, be sure to adjust into the front or second row for the next mechanic, as the safe spots will alternate as they did before. After the spreads and stacks resolve, we all collapse center while facing west to resolve the fire and ice exactly as we did the first time, once again dodging the clones and having melee flex as needed. After the elements resolve, Hephaistos casts another Ashing Blaze, so move to the safe half of the arena. After another Aioniopyr, there will be 2 auto attacks, followed by another Tyrant's Unholy Darkness, and 1 more auto attack, before Hephaistos casts Arcane Control II, once again dealing heavy raid damage and becoming untargetable. For High Concept 2, we once again have defined starting positions that everyone will report to based on their debuffs. Just as in the first High Concept, the fast Alpha, Beta, and Gamma players will report to A, B, and C respectively. 2 players will receive no debuffs. These players will also move to A to get hit by Alpha for a later step in the mechanic. The 3 remaining players will have slow Alpha, Beta, and Gamma. One will also have a red solo DNA stack. This player moves to the red 1 marker. The other 2 players, one with a yellow 2-player DNA stack, and the other with no second debuff, will report to the yellow 2 marker. After the first debuffs resolve, 2 towers will once again spawn, this time either blue or purple. The 2 extra alpha players that started with no debuffs will immediately combine to create 2 Ifrit concepts, while the remaining players with Alchemy combine as needed to resolve the first set of towers. The players with Ifrit concepts will begin taking damage over time, so healers need to be wary. Hephaistos will once again cast Ashing Blaze, so after creating concepts and moving into towers, position accordingly. After resolving the first towers, we once again have assigned positions to report to. The slow Alpha, Beta, and Gamma will move out to their A, B, and C markers. The leftover player from the fast explosions will wait in the center of the arena. The 2 Ifrits and the 2 players that soaked the first towers will move to the northwest safe spot and spread out in a cross formation to telegraph which ad they plan to pick up. After the second set of large explosions resolve, these players will move out to the cardinal they chose. A clone has spawned that, after a short delay, will tether to the nearest player with a prey icon, indicating that they will be targeted with a column AoE when the mechanic resolves. These players start by their clone and upon receiving a tether rotate 2.5 tiles clockwise on the arena edge to safely resolve the 4 cleaves. These players will be stunned before their cleave resolves, so as soon as they get their tethers, they should immediately move out to their resolve position. The remaining 4 players will handle resolving the towers in the center, 2 of which are green, and 2 of which are blue or purple. There are lots of complicated ways of doing this, but I'm going to tell you the easy way. The leftover player from the fast explosions and the player at C will always combine between the 2 west towers. The slow explosions at A and B will always combine between the 2 east towers. This gives us the 4 needed colors 100% of the time, because of certain patterns in the mechanic, so don't overthink it. From here, players adjust into a tower matching their color and the mechanic is resolved. Hephaistos will become targetable again, and we have a few immediate objectives. First, now is a good time for a melee limit break because we are about to go into a massive burst phase that we don't want to have to stop and del B during. Second, we need each red Ifrit concept to merge with 1 green wind concept. Doing so will allow us to survive the boss's Enrage cast. Our third objective is to have every party member topped off at 100% HP. Being even just 1 HP short will result in deaths. After the reds and greens combine, 4 feather concepts will be created that immediately begin merging together. The boss will also start its Enrage cast, Ego Death. When the feathers finish combining, the entire party will take damage, equal to their max HP -1 that circumvents any shields and mitigation. Surviving players will receive the concept of the Phoenix and the Immortal Conception buff, allowing them to survive Ego Death. After Ego Death, a short cutscene will play, at the end of which the party is revived and given the Everburn debuff, doubling their damage dealt. This is conveniently also a reopener window with raid buffs and potions, so the raid should get to work burning Hephaistos as hard as they can. Aionagonia is another high damage raid-wide AoE. This one inflicts a 7-second bleed and gives Hephaistos a stacking damage buff, making subsequent attacks hit harder. This is immediately followed by Dominion, for which we each spread into the center point of assigned tiles. Dominion deals heavy raid-wide damage, gives Hephaistos another damage up stack, It also strikes 2 DPS and 2 supports with Orogenic Deformation, a circle AoE that inflicts earth resistance down. Immediately afterward we check our debuffs. The players that do not have earth resistance down will be resolving the first 4 towers, and the players that do will resolve the second set of towers. We collapse near center to heal up while the first tower players begin following the lights that telegraph where the towers will spawn on the outside of the arena, with supports taking the west 2 towers and DPS taking the east. These towers can spawn in tricky patterns, such as 2 west, 1 north, and 1 east, so players should follow the light of their tower to telegraph to their co-raiders which they are intending to soak. After the first towers resolve, a second set of lights begin trailing out, and we have the remaining 4 players resolve this set the same way. After the second set of towers are resolved, Hephaistos will once again cast Aionagonia into Dominion, continuing to accumulate damage stacks, but otherwise repeating mechanics we just did. After one final Aionagonia, Hephaistos will reach 5 damage stacks and begin casting Ego Death. The raid has until the end of this cast to finish Hephaistos off and clear Abyssos Savage.